Hello, welcome to the new instructor information session. We are happy to have Jonathan Olshock here. He is the Director of Academic Engagement for Peerceptiv. So Jonathan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Hello, everyone. I think there'll be a few more people joining us as we go through, but I'm going to get started, and then if anyone misses anything, there will be a video, and we can share that with you at the end of the webinar. So this is the new instructor information session. We're going to spend about 20 minutes here going over some basics in Peerceptiv, how to set up an assignment, rubrics, etc. And then at the end, we'll have time for Q&A. So if you have questions at any point, please just use the chat function, and you will be able to type your questions there, and Megan will monitor that so that at the end, she'll be able to answer those questions. Okay, so our agenda for today, like I said, we're going to start off with our standard assignment workflow, or what a normal Peerceptiv process looks like. Then we're going to talk about how the grades are broken down with all the tasks that the students perform. Then we're going to I'm going to show you how to create an assignment in the actual tool itself. We'll briefly discuss rubrics, and then some tips for new instructors, and we'll leave time for Q&A at the end. All right, let's jump right in here. So the basic assignment flow in Peerceptiv, this is for any individual or group assignment in Peerceptiv, and they flow the same way. They start off with an upload document stage, and during that stage, the students can upload any type of document or URL into our system to be assessed by their peers. It's a simple two-step process. We have seen anything from VoiceThread links to Google Chat uploads, lots of different ways that you can use this tool so that your instructional designers or your professors can get really creative with the types of evidence-based assessments that really prove student achievement. While writing is the most common form of upload we see, like I said, there's many ways to get creative with peer assessment. So once all the documents are uploaded into the system, they go into what we call a virtual stack, and they're ready to be reviewed. So the second phase, the students are tasked with reviewing anywhere from 3 to 6 of their peers' work. Those reviews will be based on a rubric that the instructor provides, and those rubrics get broken down into 2 types of prompts. We have commenting prompts, and we have rating prompts. Commenting prompts provide qualitative feedback to the author, and quantitative prompts are a 7-point scale. It can be up to 7 points scale for a performance level indicator. And what a rubric in Peerceptiv looks like is a combination of those things, whether it be 1 commenting prompt and 6 rating prompts, or vice versa. So that's how a basic rubric is set up. The entire process here is double blind, so that the reviewers and the authors do not know who the other is, unless, like I said earlier, there's a video upload or some sort of identifying information in the document itself. Then that would obviously become a single blind version, but for the most part, it will be a double blind process. Once the reviews are complete, once they've completed about 3 to 6 reviews on their peers' work, we move into the back evaluation phase. And this is really a crucial step in any peer assessment, is to rate the reviews that the author received. So this really leads to student accountability. When students are commenting on their peers' work, when they know that they're going to be rated for the quality of those comments, that they're going to naturally improve the quality of those comments they're providing to the author. So during the back evaluation phase, the author of the document will provide a 1 to 5 helpfulness rating on the comments that they received, and also they comment back to the reviewers. So a typical back evaluation comment might read, "Thank you for your feedback on my introduction paragraph. It was very helpful that you mentioned I should restructure some of the sentences. In the future, it would be more helpful if you pointed to a specific sentence that needed to be rewritten." And really what this phase does is it creates a virtuous cycle where the more you use a tool like this, the better the students are going to become at critical analysis, because they're receiving feedback not only on the document they submitted, but also on the reviews that they're providing. And really that's the power of the student accountability that's built into our tool. And then finally, the last phase is we generate grades. So there's a number of ways that instructors can get involved in the grading process here. We've seen large classrooms where the instructor just wants to post the assignment. They want it to be 100% peer assessed, and then just have the grades passed back into their grade book, whether that be in an LMS or in the Peerceptiv grade book. But we also see instances where instructors are reviewing along with the peers. So they can do, during the review phase here, they can jump in and complete as many reviews or as few reviews as they choose. Whether they spot check a couple or they review all of the documents, that can be part of this process as well. Okay, so I'm gonna jump over to the grades breakdown. The grading in Peerceptiv is broken down into 3 categories. So what these 3 categories are built to do is to incentivize the student in each phase of the assignment in Peerceptiv. So the first grade is a writing grade. The writing grade is simply how well their document performed according to the rubric. Now, the way we tell this is we take the peer inputs on that document. Those peers that rate the document are given an accuracy weighting so that their review counts as much or as little as accurate as they are. So if you have 3 reviewers, there might be a very accurate reviewer, a middle accuracy reviewer, and a low reviewer. The one that has the higher accuracy is going to account more for the writing grade of the author. The second part of the grade is a review grade. This is to incentivize the reviewing phase of the assignment. And what they do here, what makes up this grade is that accuracy that I just spoke about. So they get a grade for how accurate they were with their rating prompts. And they also get a grade for the feedback that was provided to them during the back evaluation phase. So that's what makes up the reviewing grade, and that's what incentivizes this whole process. And then the task grade is simply completion. How many of the tasks that were assigned within Peerceptiv did they complete? Each of these categories can be weighted however the instructor chooses, so that if the writing grade is more important than that assignment, you can up the percentage there. What we often see with new instructors is that they will, at the beginning of the semester, let's say they're doing 3 or 4 Peerceptiv assignments. At the beginning of the semester, they might really increase the task and reviewing grade weight and then reduce the writing grade. And then as the semester progresses, they will increase that writing grade so that the later assignments will focus more on the writing. Okay, I'm going to jump into Peerceptiv tool itself now. And what you see on the screen is a typical course in Peerceptiv. This is a course that has just been set up but does not have any assignments. So the assignments will be listed below this blue bar here. The first thing I'm going to do is go up to assignments and click on new assignment. Okay, and this is our assignment wizard. Folks who have used Peerceptiv before the summer might not be familiar with this screen. This is a new update to our system, the wizard style of creating new assignments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the process of creating a new assignment and kind of talk about the different options and features that are available here. The first thing to notice is the click here to copy a past assignment button. Anytime you create an assignment or a rubric within Peerceptiv, you can one-click copy that over. So if you're teaching the same course in multiple semesters or multiple sections, any assignment that was created with your account can be copied into your course very easily. And then the same thing with the rubrics. Once a rubric is created, copying the entire assignment here will also include that rubric, but on the rubric creation screen, you can also simply copy a rubric and use different assignment settings that way. So the first thing you do is you just enter an assignment name here and a description for your students. Oftentimes instructors will include very in-depth instructions here. Other times they'll just, if they're using, especially through an LMS like Blackboard or Canvas, they'll simply say, refer to the instructions in your course website. I'm just gonna put a word here so that our wizard will move forward. Click next. Assignment type. So we have a number of assignment types in Peerceptiv. The first option in the default is the regular individual submission. And that is for most assignments is what we see. One student uploads a document and then they move through the entire process by themselves and their grade is individual. We also have a group submission assignment type. With a group submission, you assign the groups ahead of time where the students can self-identify in the groups. And then any submission by a group member acts as the submission for everyone in that group. Once they've submitted their assignment, during the review phase and the back evaluation phase, they actually handle those on an individual basis. So they'll review other groups' work and then respond to comments in the back evaluation from other groups as well. There's a training assignment. It could also probably more accurately be called an instructor upload assignment. So with this type of assignment, the instructor can provide documents preloaded into the system so that the students only go through the review and the back evaluation phase. If you want to set up something like this, just contact our support desk and we'll talk you through it. We actually usually advise a regular individual submission rather than a training submission. These are for pretty specific use cases. And then we also have our new team eval assignment type. This is a new release that we for this semester, and it's designed to let group members assess the contributions of their fellow group members on any type of project. So with team eval only, they're not going to go through the rest of the Peerceptiv process. They will just be taken to our team eval module where they will be asked to evaluate the performance of their group members. You can also add a team eval to the group submissions as well if you choose. And if we have time at the end, I have a few screenshots of the team eval only so that you can get a feel for what that looks like. I know that's pretty popular on a lot of campuses. Professors often request, hey, I just want to have my group members review each other and produce some sort of data where I can use that to inform my grading. Great, that's what this is for. It's pretty simple. It's a one-step process rather than a full Peerceptiv assignment. Okay, submission type. So students can either upload a file, you can provide a text box for them if you were doing a live writing assignment, for instance, or they could submit by URL. Any of these will scrape any identifying information that we can from the file. And for example, an upload of file will be converted to a PDF and all the identifying information on the back end of that file will be scraped so that it remains double blind. All right, teacher graded only. So there is a setting for if you would just want to use Peerceptiv, you want to use your rubric to assess the peers yourself or assess the documents yourself, you can use that. Anonymous teacher reviews is just if you have multiple teachers in a course, let's say you have 5 TAs and they're grading different papers. If you set this to yes, the students will see that it's a teacher review, but they won't know which teacher reviewed them. And then you can turn the back evaluations off. That would be a very specific use case, and please contact the support desk before you decide to do that because we would want to advise you on the best practices around that. Okay, reviewing. So you can set your number of reviewers on an individual assignment from 3 to 6. On a group assignment, it's a little bit lower because there will be more reviewers than there are documents. So you can set that a little bit lower, but 3 to 6 are the options for individual assignment. I'm going to leave it at 3. You can also include a self-evaluation where the students will use the rubric to evaluate their own work before they review their peers. Always leave the reviewing style one at a time unless you have a specific use case. One at a time is the only way to go. Instructor review. This is a really interesting setting here. So what you're able to do with this is if you decide to jump in and do instructor reviews along with the peers, your review can count for any weight of that review. So if you choose just one in a set, the teacher will be considered just like one of the peers as far as their impact on the grade. A sliding scale, if I choose that, I can change what percentage my review is worth. And then override students' reviews just simply means that if I review it, that's what the student is going to get. You can also allow for bonus reviews where students, after they've completed their required number of reviews, they can pull down extra documents to review and get bonus points for that. Back evaluation prompts are standard out of the box. We fill them in for you. Most instructors use these standard prompts, but you can feel free to change them here. Grading options. So we have 2 main grading styles here. We have curved and benchmark. With curve, you just set your mean and standard deviation, and Peerceptiv will use the writing and accuracy scores to distribute the students' work along that curve. You can also set for benchmarked. Benchmark grading, this is especially good for large classes. What will happen here is after the peer assessments have been completed, the system will deliver to the instructor the top 5 and bottom 5 scored documents. The instructor then assigns a 1 to 100 percentage grade to those documents. And our system will read that as a high end and a low end and distribute the rest of the grades linearly between those 2 points. So this gives a lot of control to the instructor as far as what the grading range is going to be and how the students performed on that assignment. I'm going to put it back to curve since that's what most people use. You can allow late reviews and assign a penalty for those late reviews. Deadlines. So make sure that when you're setting up your deadlines, you set it to at least 1 day in the future or at some time in the future of today. You can always instantly publish an assignment once it's created, but for this setting, just make sure that it's in the future. And then the submission deadline is when the students have to submit their documents. The review deadline is when they have to review, but they have to have reviewed all of the peer documents. And the back evaluation deadline is when they have to complete their back evaluations. When you're setting up these deadlines, think about how long it's going to take for the students to complete those. Typically, a review would take about, let's say it's a 5-paragraph essay. A typical review is going to take 15 to 30 minutes, I would think, for a student, probably more the first time they do it. So think about how much time they're going to actually spend doing the reviews and allow them enough time to do both the reviews and the back evaluations. And then finally, we have some advanced settings. You can turn off email notifications. You can hold the grades so that they're not released until you click the button. You can manage the reviews. So if you wanted to keep the same reviewers across multiple assignments, you can do that. And allow any file types is the default there. So then that's all the settings we have. I'm going to click submit. And you will see our assignment right here listed under our course. The next step, once you create your assignment, is to create your rubric. So I'm going to skip back over to my PowerPoint now and just show you what the rubrics look like, and then I'll jump back and show you how you create them in Peerceptiv. So this is what a standard rubric looks like. Rubrics are categorized into what we call dimensions. And those dimensions have have one commenting prompt, which you can see up here. Read the introduction and comment on the summary. So this is what the students will see and be asked to comment on. And any number of rating prompts that you choose. So this dimension, introduction, has a number of rating prompts. And this is a great way to reduce the amount of work, reduce the review time for students, is to include multiple ratings per dimension. That way you're not asking them to provide qualitative feedback for every rating they do. So this is what a rubric looks like here. Again, I'm going to jump back over to our tool just to quickly show you how to set those up. So under dimensions, this is the screen you'll be taken to after you've created your assignment. If you end up at the overview screen, you just simply click on dimensions and it'll take you back here. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a dimension. You give that dimension a name. Let's go with introduction because that's simple. And then this line here is for adding commenting prompts, and this line is for adding rating prompts. So to add a comment, you just click here. You'll type your comment and click create. You can also add from library. So if you have so these are all my commenting prompts I've created in the past. And you can just simply choose any of those, copy to assignment, and you can see that my commenting prompt is ready to go. Same process with the rating prompts. I'm going to click add a rating here. You would give the rating a short name, let's say it's test, and then a description for the students. And then here are your 7 rubric categories. You can use you have to use 7 in one. Other than that, you can use as many or as few as you like. And then what you do is you just add a description. I've already got some already built in here. So you can add your descriptions to the different ratings, and then that's what the students will be able to choose from as a performance level for each document. Click create here. Oh, need a description. All right, so, and then when you're done, you just click done editing, and you'll see that my rubric is here. I have my commenting prompt. This one is really long. Normally they're just a sentence or two. And then you have your rating prompts that the students will be able to choose on the performance levels. Okay, we have a lot more resources out there about rubrics. We don't have time to get into it now because of the other materials and the question and answer. Building rubrics for peer assessment is is a skill that we provide a lot of resources to help build. Think about when you're creating your rubrics, especially if you're converting them from some rubric that you've used as an instructor, you want to provide students a level of understanding so that they can simply identify which level of performance a document has performed on and be as clear as possible. So some of the resources we have available are in our knowledge base. These links will be available to you when we follow up from the webinar. We'll send these over as well. So our knowledge base is our help materials. It's a curated area where there's articles about all different things in Peerceptiv. And then our YouTube channel has a lot of great videos about building the rubrics. One of our prior webinars was on rubrics, and that one is on our YouTube channel as well. So you can follow that if you like. Some tips for new instructors here. First of all, you want to, air quotes, sell your students on the benefits of peer assessment. One of the really great ways to ensure that this system works well for you and that the students appreciate the process is to explain to them why you've chosen this. As instructors, we know that this process is extremely helpful and extremely beneficial to students. They're going to receive a lot of feedback just on the side of not only on the side of the giver do they receive benefits, but also, on the receiver do they receive the benefits, but also on the side of the giver of feedback. So understanding the rubric and really being able to label where a document is performing is going to help the students understand the skills that you're trying to assess. So explaining that to them and explaining to them the benefits of this tool really helps start off on a good note. We have lots of materials about this as well, including a video and PowerPoints and articles. So definitely check those out before you launch your first assignment. Use a real assignment to introduce Peerceptiv to students. We often see instructors with the best of intentions create an assignment that's just very simple. It's not college level. It's just an introduction or something, a fun, engaging type assignment, just so that they can get a feel for the process. But what we found is that actually just starting your first assignment that's actually going to be worth some amount of points, and that can be a low amount of points, it sends the message to students that this is a tool that's going to be used for serious academic work, and it's usually a better way to start off. Again, every instructor has a feel for their course and their students more than we can, so you can play this by ear, but from our experience, we found that a real assignment is definitely more beneficial. And then finally, we have a great article in our Help Center that I think it's has 100% likes. So people that read it, students and instructors, they all find this very helpful because it instructs students on how to be a helpful, constructive reviewer. It talks about how to rate other students, and it also talks about how to build a comment for another student. I would say this is almost essential to give the students before they get started, especially for lower level college courses, undergrad courses. I'm sure if you get into the law schools and the graduate schools, they know how to do this already, but definitely an undergrad, first, second year undergrads should definitely see this article before they get started. So we try to allow 5 minutes for Q&A, and we have about 7 minutes left. So I'm going to show you a few screenshots from the team member eval only, and then I will kick it back over to Megan for the questions and answers. So let me just skip a few here. So this is what our team member evaluation assignments look like. And we try to design this in a way so that students will give a relational rating on specific categories that are built. We have out of the box or instructors can build. So this particular category is one of our out of the box categories that they can use here. It gives them a description of what to expect, what behaviors to consider when rating their team members on this. And then the students can just go through their team members listed here, and they can give them a 1 to 5 rating, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. They could give, like you see here, multiple students can get the same rating, but we really wanted to encourage them to have some relational grading here. And then they just scroll through, and there's a number of cards. Communication is the next category. But this is what the rating side of the team member eval looks like. And then this is what the commenting side of the team member evaluation looks like. So once they've rated their peers on the categories that you've chosen, we have 5 out of the box categories, but you can delete those or amend those as you wish. And you can also add your own. So after they've completed those, they'll be prompted to provide responses here that the instructor can see and see who's giving the comment. So this is a really helpful tool for not only for group assignments in Peerceptiv, but if instructors are just looking for a good way to have peers evaluate each other, this is a great tool for that. Okay, with that, I am going to pass it over to Megan. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any other questions, put them in the chat and we will get to as many as we can.
All right, thank you to everyone who has asked questions so far. I want to go through them, and if you do have any additional questions, you can put them in the chat, or currently everyone's on mute, but you could also unmute and ask a question. But again, thank you for sending these questions, and thank you also for people who have been participating and answering. It's fun to see both sides. The first question was asking if there are multiple submissions from members of the same group. The system takes the last one or the most recent one. So if Jonathan and I are in a group together and I put an assignment in the first day and then the window is still open and we make some changes, Jonathan uploads the more recent version. That's the version that stays, not the first one. And anyone from the group can submit an assignment, and then that assignment, the writing grade, is the same for all the members of the group. And the writing, I'm using writing grade here, but it could be just the document grade. So if it's a PowerPoint presentation or a group presentation, the grade that students give it on it, the content, would be the same for everyone. The next question, how do you ensure that a student does not get their own assignment to review? The algorithm that takes the papers from sort of the reviewing stack, as it were, and divvies them up, makes sure that no student gets their own paper or their own document to review. There's also a setting that you can have, you can specify who the reviewer will be. So you could keep the same reviewer or same group of reviewers for multiple drafts of an assignment or multiple assignments. If you're interested in that functionality, please contact us and we'll walk you through it. It's a little bit more complicated just than the regular anonymous. You get the next stack, you get the next document on the stack reviewing. There's a question, do we have a cheat sheet of explanations? Yes. There are two ways that you can get explanations. As you're going through the wizard, there are some question marks that you can click on to get more information, as well as when you go back and edit settings, there are some question marks you can click on to get information. We also have a lot of information in the knowledge base about setting up assignments, particularly for first-time users. And then if you're trying to use it for something very specific or specialized, always feel free to reach out to us at customer support, and we can give you some advice on making sure that the assignment is set up exactly the way that fits your class and your particular parameters. All right. There was a question, can we import rubrics from the LMS? Unfortunately, no. Right now, you cannot directly import rubrics from the LMS. However, when you do get a rubric set up in Peerceptiv, as Jonathan showed you, they'll go to your library, your private library, and then you can use those same rubrics for any assignment. So you do have to set it up the first time in Peerceptiv, and then you can just copy, or it's not even copy and paste. You can just use those rubrics again and again for whatever assignments you want. There's a question about what data gets to and from the LMS. So the way that Peerceptiv integrates with the LMS, primarily grades get passed back and forth. So you can have it set in Peerceptiv that as soon as the back evaluation phase is done, the grades are automatically passed back to the Canvas or Blackboard or whatever LMS gradebook so that they're in there directly. Instructors can also hold the grades, so that sometimes instructors like to have a chance to look the grades over, make sure that they align with what they expected, or for whatever reason, the instructors can hold the grades. Other information that gets passed back and forth, it's not a direct pass, but you can use your LMS class roster to do student uploads, and you can also use the groups. If you Blackboard, for example, allows you to set groups for assignments, and you can use, we have some templates that you can use to quickly and easily in one step upload groups and upload student lists. Jonathan is going to add a little bit to my explanation. So take a second and he'll be up to.
So just to discuss the LTI configuration we have, it's a single sign-on for students and instructors, and it directs you straight on the instructor side. It takes you to the course that's associated with that LMS course. And on the student side, when they single sign on, it takes them to the assignment link that's provided in the LMS. So it takes them right to the assignment overview screen for them there. And then we also provide grade passback, and we pass back an overall grade as a percentage. So you can set the points to whatever it is that you choose. All right, thanks. I'm just going to pass that back to Megan.
All right, are there any other questions? And feel free to type them, or you can unmute your mic and ask them as well. All right, well, thank you very much for attending. If you do have a question, feel free to email us at support, and within a day or two, we will be sending out a link to the webinar and making sure that we highlight some of the resources that we talked about in the webinar. Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for attending. Bye.